Hi, my name is Brandy Howes, and this is my prompt 1. The standards I used are math, explain the relationship between addition and subtraction, and apply the properties of operations to solve real-life addition and subtraction problems within 20. I also used a variety of strategies to solve addition and subtraction problems within 20. The ELA standard that I use is narrative techniques. Identify and use narrative techniques to shape understanding, and also describe traits of the main character and explain how their words and actions support the central message, lesson, or moral of the story. Student learning and teacher knowledge. Student math I can statements. I can compose numbers in many ways. I can count to add. I can problem solve with two add-ins, and I can find number partners. Teacher knowledge. Teacher must know common content knowledge, such as how to add two numbers together to get a sum. The teacher must also know the vocabulary words associated with adding, such as addition, add-ins, and sum. Student learning and teacher knowledge. Student ELA I can statements. I can compare and contrast the adventures and experiences of characters in stories. I can describe the traits of the main characters in a book. I can describe the traits of a character using pictures from the book. Teacher knowledge. Teacher must know vocabulary words such as characters and traits. They must be able to explain to students how to compare and contrast using experiences from the book by using pictures as evidence. Differentiation. Differentiated instruction adapts instruction to meet the diverse needs of all students in a classroom setting. The purpose is to ensure that all students are challenged according to their individual needs to be successful. Differentiated instruction is where teachers modify their lessons to accommodate each child's unique needs, including prior knowledge and skills, interest, and classroom behavior. Cited by Goyoba in 2025. In my classroom, I ensure that all of my students are successful by teaching in small groups. This allows me to teach my students in different ways at different speeds without lowering academic expectations. Pedagogical content knowledge. Pedagogical content knowledge focuses on how well a teacher can anticipate student misconceptions, choose appropriate representations or explanations, and adapt teaching methods to the specific demands of the contents. Cited by Sewell and Main in 2023. Utilizing PCK in my classroom allows me to provide meaningful and appropriately challenged learning experiences, regardless of their abilities, backgrounds, or learning preferences. Examples are: I increase engagement by using an interesting read aloud when teaching my students how to add. For my ESOL students, I will provide them with a vocabulary word bank because I know that they need this accommodation to be successful. I incorporated several opportunities for students to interact with one another in turn-in talks and movement on the rug. Teaching strategies. Experiential learning. Experiential education is a teaching philosophy that informs many methodologies in which educators purposefully engage with learners in direct experience and focused reflection in order to increase knowledge, develop skills, clarify values, and develop people's capacity to contribute to their commonalities. Association for Experiential Education in 2024. To be an effective educator, teachers must ensure that students are actively engaged in the learning process. Without engagement, students are unlikely to master this material. Rationale. Experiential learning is effective because it engages students in hands-on, real-world experiences that make learning more meaningful and memorable and support different learning styles and build critical thinking and collaboration skills. Evidence of experiential learning in my classroom. When teaching the math standard, I utilized small groups by allowing my students to have hands-on experiences in learning addition by using 10 frames and counters. Making mistakes is a valuable part of the learning process. When students make errors, they are given the opportunity to reflect, adjust their thinking, and develop a deeper understanding of the material. For example, when completing the addition lesson, one student put the wrong sum for the addition problem. I gave him the opportunity to adjust his thinking to understand the problem better by reminding him to reference our anchor chart that we use. Teaching strategies for experiential learning. To prepare for learning opportunities using experiential learning in my classroom, I carefully plan my lessons by identifying clear learning objectives to ensure that I connect the activity to the standard. I provide real-world or interactive tasks that allow students to apply concepts in authentic contexts. I prepare materials ahead of time, set expectations, and provide guidance so that students understand their roles and goals. I plan time for reflection, discussion, and assessments to help students connect their experiences to what they've learned. I monitor student learning by informal questioning throughout the lesson, observing and providing feedback as needed, having students complete an exit ticket showing what two numbers make 10 using the 10 frame. I manage student behavior by ensuring students understand the rules and expectations of the lesson and incorporating my consistent routines and modeling appropriate behavior. Teaching strategies for inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning is where students are actively engaged in the learning process and are given the opportunity to explore their natural curiosities, from school in 2024. The rationale: inquiry-based learning is effective in the classroom because it is grounded in the idea that students learn best when they are actively involved in exploring questions, investigating problems, and constructing their own learning and understanding. Evidence of inquiry-based learning in my classroom. When using the read aloud during my lesson, I engage curiosity by asking students open-ended questions to promote critical thinking skills. I place the students at the center of the learning process by utilizing a read aloud that makes learning more meaningful and relevant. Throughout the lesson, I allowed students to become active, engaged, and independent thinkers. For example, I had students turn and talk to their neighbor and discuss addition problems throughout the story. Teaching strategies for inquiry-based learning. To prepare for learning opportunities using inquiry-based learning in my classroom, I intentionally plan lessons to ensure that students can meaningfully explore questions and achieve learning goals. I gather texts, manipulatives, and digital resources students need to explore the standards being taught. I design opportunities for collaboration by determining ahead of time how students will work together in pairs. I think ahead about misconceptions or difficulties students may have when working in pairs. Teaching strategies for inquiry-based learning. I monitor students' learning by observing student engagement, asking guided questions, providing constructive feedback. I manage behaviors by setting clear expectations, demonstrating how to share ideas politely, and actively listening while someone is speaking. Evidence of experiential learning. Students are seen working with 10 frames in the first picture, which shows they are actively engaging in the math concept through hands-on learning rather than passively receiving the information. Students are able to physically see and represent numbers using the 10 frame encounters. The student in the second picture made a mistake when finding the sum of the given addition problem. To help this student, I talked about the importance of making mistakes, how it helps us learn, and then I reminded him to refer back to our addition strategies anchor chart. Evidence of inquiry-based learning. This first picture shows students on the rug listening to a read aloud. We read 10 for me. They are thinking critically about the text by raising their hands to ask questions throughout the story. The second picture shows students on the rug engaged in a collaborative discussion. They are participating in a turn and talk activity, discussing what the answer to the addition problem is in the story. Reflection. Areas of strength. Students knew the expectations as they were sitting on the rug, turning and talking with their partners respectfully. The read aloud actively engaged the students because it was a text that they could relate the standard to. The activity with the 10 frame allowed them to be hands-on with their learning. I felt like I was able to effectively differentiate the lesson to meet the needs of all of my students. Some areas of improvement for the lesson is some students learn better using different strategies. For example, one student may want to add with counters while another student may want to draw pictures. Next time I could be more intentional by allowing students to use a strategy of their choice that helps them learn more effectively. I could also work on my time management in a small group math setting. With one group, I took more time, which left me less time with my other group. Evidence of assisting above and below level learners. My first picture shows a picture of a above level learner using a teen frame to add numbers up to 20. This student has already mastered adding numbers to 10 using the 10 frame, so I'm accelerating his learning by allowing him to use a teen frame instead. The second picture shows a below level learner using a number line to add numbers on his 10 frame. He struggles with writing the numbers correctly also, so a number and number correlation, so the number line helps him, also allows him to be able to see the number so he can know how to write it correctly. And this is my works cited. Thank you.